Hey everyone, it's Jilly. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm starting a new series that is all about the moon. I have been fascinated with the moon most of my life. Um, that fascination has waxed and waned, as life got real busy with children and work, and I forgot to look up. I forgot to look up at the moon. And now that I'm retired and the kids have left the house, I'm finding that I'm looking up more often now. And I've started a moon practice more consistently. And I think it's changed me a little. And I want to talk about that. But how many of you have been fascinated with the moon? Either as a kid or as an adult, or do you have a telescope? We used to have a telescope. We didn't see very much out of the telescope, to be fair. We lived in the city, and yeah, we didn't see very much with it back then, that I remember anyway. But my fascination with the moon began a long time ago as a kid. We used to spend a lot of time outside, I think we spent more outside time than kids do these days, that's for sure. And I spent a lot of time in nature. My family were big campers. And so, yeah, we spent a lot of time in the mountains and at the beach, and sitting around a campfire, sitting outside and looking up at the stars and the moon. And uh, yeah, it just brings back all kinds of good memories for me. And then as an adult, like I said, things got busy and I didn't look up so much. And I think my life suffered for that. I forgot about the the natural rhythm of things. And I don't know that I was really so much aware of it. Like I told you guys before, I uh, didn't have much of a spiritual practice before my 40s. I was always very religious. I went to church, but I didn't know very much at all about spirituality until I hit my 40s, and my life sort of collapsed there for a little while. But I started looking up again, and I started looking at the moon, and I started to wonder about it, and things came back to me from before, like when I was at university back in the 70s, late 70s. It was very late 70s. I took an astronomy class as part of my gen eds, and it was summertime. I took it as a summer class, and we got blankets and we laid out under the stars, and we did that for an entire cycle, moon cycle, I believe, because it was a 4-week class, so we probably did it like once a week. But anyway, that had me hooked. And back then I was still able to see constellations really clearly. And so I learned about, constellations, and I was just fascinated. And then later on, as the kids got older, and actually when we moved up here to the mountains where we live now, we would be driving and I would be looking at the sky and saying, "Oh my gosh, look at the sky. It's so beautiful." And my daughter would say, "Oh geez, she's going to want to turn over and take pictures of the sky again." And I did. And one night there was a full moon, and Mr. Honey was coming home from work, and he stopped on a bridge and took a picture of the moon for me. And so I passed it on. Like, like he got it too. But learning more about the moon and just really thinking about how she has so much of an effect on the earth. I mean, the moon guides the tides, moves these huge bodies of water. And we are 60 to 75% water, I think, human beings. So imagine what that does to us. So when people say that, people's emotions run high at the full moon or change during the full moon, or you have mood swings at the full moon, I believe that could be true. Absolutely. Because of the way, because of us being mostly water. Yeah. And I think that the way I'm living now is more in tune with nature, and I feel that, like, I feel that in my bones. So I live now by the wheel of the year, and so I don't so much think in terms of autumn, but I think of in terms of Maven. I don't think so much about spring. I think about Imbolc, or Astara. So my life has changed in that way, but also this this moon practice that really I just started earnestly almost 2 years ago now, has taught me that life is cyclical. Like, we know that, right? But when you live by the moon, you really get to know that. I mean, thousands of years ago, people were guided by the moonlight before there were compasses. They were guided by the stars and by moonlight. They planted and they sowed and they harvested by the moon. And I just think she is a wonderful creation that can have an impact on our life if we let her. So we are works in progress, all of us. And the moon holds us steady, quite literally. Not only does the moon control the tides, but the moon is also responsible for our axis, for the tilt of the earth. And I think that's really incredible too. I started my moon practice a year and a half ago when my life kind of went through a transition again, and not a transition that I was looking for at all, but a transition, and I was kind of left feeling almost like I didn't know who, like I needed to find myself again. So I started watching a YouTuber that was she was somebody told me about her, and it's Jessica and the Moon. If you don't follow her, absolutely look her up. She is an astrologer and a moon goddess, and she is very informative, and she also is a wonderful artist, and she does monthly journaling with the moon. So watch how she sets up her moon journal, and I'll show you a little bit about mine, but mine aren't as pretty as hers. So yeah, definitely go over and have a look at what she does, because they're absolutely stunningly beautiful. And I think that she also has free downloads for stickers. I'm pretty sure that she does that. So have a look at her channel. So I just so happened to start listening to her, watching her, right as we were going to have a large solar eclipse, and that would have been in 2024. So it was spring of 2024. And I I kind of, watched her videos, and something clicked with me about this, and I started working with Goddess then as well. So Goddess and the moon, Goddess practice and moon practice are very important to me. But I also got very overwhelmed with information, because as we do, and I know as many of you do, I would get information and then I'd kind of run down rabbit holes, and I started writing all of these things down. And that's kind of how the Crone's Compass was born too, my monthly e-zine publication that you can get from Buy Me a Coffee, and I'll link it below, commercial over. But that's kind of how that publication came about, because I wanted a place where I could organize everything I wanted everything in one place. And so I started pulling things together, and I thought, I'm just going to share this with the community, and hopefully, people will like it. And you have. And I'm really appreciative of those who support that effort on Buy Me a Coffee. So I think that a moon practice helps us to work with cycles, and whether that's like a woman's monthly cycle, or whether it's the cycles in your life. Everything is cyclical. Nothing is permanent. We are always evolving and changing. And I just think that having a moon practice helps us to see that and validate that, and it also helps us to grow with it. So what can you do to start a moon practice? Well, today's a really good time to start. I'm making this video on November 4th, 2025, and on November 5th, we have a full moon. So today's a really good time to start a moon practice, but really any time is a good time to start a moon practice. And you don't need a bunch of stuff to celebrate the moon. I would suggest some kind of journal, and I would suggest some kind of deck or divination tool, and maybe a candle, and that's about it. And the rest of it is just taking time, taking a few minutes to honor ourselves, to honor the moon, to honor our life, our place on this planet, in the vast universe. We're so tiny, we're so tiny in this huge, vast universe. And it's a wonder that we're here. So you can begin with always lighting a candle. That's always a great way to begin. It's a way to, lighting a candle is a way of signifying, is marking time. It's marking a change in a change in what we're doing, and in Zen Buddhism, we bow a lot, and we're not bowing to deity. We're bowing in reverence. Sometimes it's in reverence to ourselves, and sometimes it's to mark something important. So for me, when I light my candle at the full moon or the new moon, I light my candle and I bow, because that just marks that moment in time as being something important. And then I sit with my journal, and I usually have some kind of a prompt. What is the moon here to teach me is a good one that I use, and I'll turn a card over and journal with that. I'll put some prompts down below too that you can use for the full moon and the new moon. And as we go through this series, there'll be more of that as well. But it only takes, it doesn't take a long time, and it doesn't have to be anything real fancy. And you can take your crystals and put them outside under the light of the full moon. And if you forget to do that, as I often do, it's okay. The sky's not going to fall. It'll be all right. You can put them out the night after, or the night after that. The light will still be pretty full, and the cycle lasts for 3 days on each side. So yeah, you can. If you remember, that's great. And if you don't, that's okay too. I've recently started making moon water, which has been really interesting. I have a jar that I fill with water, and I put it out there for the moon, and I drink it, and I give a little bit to Henry. I water my plants with it. And if you want to, you can use a little bit in your bath water, or you can anoint yourself with it. So, I don't know, I think I've talked long enough for this video. If you're still with me, thanks so much for listening. And we will talk more about moon practice, and watch my video tomorrow about the full moon in Taurus, and let's start together. Until then, take care of yourselves.